of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. Now I never been down with no OPP. I talk about selling our people's property. Don't know who doing it, so don't round me out. Don't send no police round me and tell me shush my mouth. Where's our conviction? But where's our pride? We selling everything, selling our backside. Just go online, it'll make you sick. You can buy any island, just point and click. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. Hey, hey. Ride him. My mother always say, when you find a donkey, ride it. Who's the donkey? What? Come on. We got a whole nation in 73. Now we getting back the whole country. What kind of fools we must be, selling out for a bag of rice and a cup of tea. You know what does bug me? Help me understand. I can't find piece of property for under 80 grand. But I can fix this, I know what to do. I can squat just like them other people try make me do. See, they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. I get everybody sells some every time. They're selling one island, give away one key. What can be left for you and me? Is this the example? What's our kids to do? You want them have a sense of pride, or go selling too? Cause they're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes man. They're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling our whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha. They're selling our country, yes, they're selling our land. They're selling our archipelago of sea and sand. Now break down the acronym like you in class. Oh, they're selling the whole country. Ooh, they're selling aha.
Whoa, girls, we out doing it? That's our terminal.
That is Ragged Island Terminal, being Cartwright said. The Seagrave Tree with the chairs.
Over in the back of that Seagrave Tree is where you go and
over in the back is where the Haitian them was using the bathroom. Three years going and we ain't get one terminal building, nothing. But we still functionable. Bahamas had to come in here and pick up Haitians, but can't make a regular flight into Ragged Island for the people. Mother suck. This is ridiculous.
Well, Mr. Lincoln Bain, I had to agree with you. I had to wait to agree with you until this shit happened. Well, I started working in the construction sector, and as you could see, I off today. I don't have nothing to do anymore because the Haitians get all the work now. The Haitians get all the construction jobs. So if you was a carpenter and you was work for 200 a day or even 150, you can't make that no more because the Haitians working for 100. So I understand what you're saying, Lincoln. I used to painter, and I actually used to help work, but I can't get a helper spot right now because too much Haitians on the job. There's nowhere for me to work. But they say that the young Bahamian men, lazy, they don't want to work, but this is why I ain't to work. And I used to skilled painter, and it's hard for me to go on the site and find a skilled painter job because anyway I go, they like $80 a day. Like, I'm a skilled painter, I what I do is, why you trying to give me? I just give him $80 a day. Hey boss, just make it. Yeah, I make it $80 a day. Oh, that's why, because Haitians taking over. That's it.
Good afternoon, Bahamas. Good afternoon, Bahamas, and welcome, welcome, welcome. It's always so good to have all of you here. It is a wonderful pleasure to have you spend your Sundays with your Sunday afternoon with us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. We got a lot to talk about today. Some just feedback. Let me see if we can get the feedback fixed.
It is impossible, Madam Speaker, for us, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force and our law enforcement agencies, to police our waters. 100,000 square miles of water.
Yes, we can. Yes, we did. Thank you so much for that. We got that. We got that fixed, and we appreciate you being our producers from wherever you are. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we had a very interesting couple of days. You know, I'm still reading this black book, and this black book is called Mein Kampf, and it's from Hitler. And I don't agree with anything Hitler did, and I don't believe in him in any way. I think he was a monster, and he was one of the worst human beings to ever live. But I think we're repeating history. I think what's happening right now is we're repeating history. And so it's good to study monsters, to understand them, so you will know what you're dealing with. Right now in the Bahamas, we're going through some of the same things that persons in this day had to go through. That person's dealing with a monster who initially pretended to be friendly and nice, had to go through. He worried about his world public image, and he was friendly to everybody. And he said, listen, we're just trying to build Germany back, and we just, whatever we're doing is just for Germany, and we're not going to bother anyone. We're nice, and we're going to help the people. And then he became a monster. I'm also reading up on monsters like Saddam Hussein, who attacked his own people, who went after his own people, they say. And the reason I'm doing that because I'm trying to get into the mindset of Philip Brave Davis and trying to understand why he would be doing the things that he is doing. Why do they see it necessary to violate the human rights of Bahamians? I don't understand. You say that you're nice, but we're not seeing or feeling that. We see some things you did before you were elected because you were trying to buy your way to election using money from 90 and money from the Whitefish brothers and other things that you did. And it's easy to be nice with other people's money. But now we're not seeing that. We're not feeling that. And Bahamians are hurting and they're crying out. We have had a prime minister who, for the first time, the first prime minister who has sent the military on the crown land for their own people. The first prime minister who has turned the military onto their own people. Those military machinery, we had them from Perry Christie was prime minister. We received them from China. Perry Christie never, ever brought them out against the Bahamian people. In fact, they never brought them out. For any reason. We had riot in Kemp Road, we had riot in Nassau Village. They never brought the military out on their own people. Never. This is definitely a new day. It's a new day, but is it a good day? And is it a good day for the Bahamian people? And that's what we must ask ourselves. I want to bring you up to date with what happened this weekend and where we go from here. And so, as you know, from last September, we went on to that Shanty Town. And we served them with papers in English and in Creole that they would have to move. The reason this is so important is not just because these are people on land. What is most shocking about what happened recently is this. Miss Justina Curry, you know that's a pure Bahamian. Only Bahamians name, pure Bahamians named Justina. And she's a Curry. Miss Justina Curry is a Bahamian. And this Bahamian woman was a civil servant all her life in this country. She was a nurse. And being a nurse, she saved her money and she was going to retire, build a house for herself, and build a farm and farm it for the rest of her days. Teach her grandchildren how to farm and turn the farm over to them. Justina Curry wanted to live that dream. Justina Curry did just that. She worked as a nurse, retired honorably after serving this country for decades. She then acquired Crown land. It was issued to her by government in an area where they usually issue it to civil servants, including police officers. And she got her Crown land. Illegal immigrants came onto her Crown land and they chased her off of her Crown land. cursed her out, threatened her life, and told her what they would do to her if she ever returned. To show that they were serious, they broke down her house, her savings that she worked all her life for. Now she's left with nothing. They destroyed all of her crops. I would have preferred if they had just taken her crops. For her to put in all of that work, and if you've ever farmed and you know the work that you have to put in to farm, to prepare the ground, to do all of the things that you have to do, to weeding and et cetera, the fertilizing and everything you have to do and the work you have to put in, I would have preferred if they had just stolen her crops. They destroyed her crops. And then they told her, don't you ever come back here, Bahamian. She went to everyone trying to get help. The police told her, go to court. And the police told her they ain't going in the back there for them people to put voodoo on them. The court, she did take it to court. See some people having a question about that. She did take it to court. The court told her, we need specific names. The court can only take action against specific people. They can't just put a general order out there. And so the problem is that someone is advising these illegal immigrants, and I guess they told them not to give their real names or give names at all. And so she didn't have names. And so it was difficult to do certain things with some of them. She tried to get help from different prime ministers she went to. She even went to Philip Brave Davis. She went to Minis. And she got no help. She did get promises of help, but none. Philip Brave Davis promised to help her, but he didn't help her. He promised. Now he's prime minister. He did nothing. What is so egregious and what hurt that woman so much? And I watched the tears of that woman. I watched the tears and I watched her shaking as her whole life is gone. Her life savings is gone. The house she was depending to live in is gone. She now has nowhere to live. She's moving from place to place because she now has nowhere to live. A Bahamian in our country was kicked off her land by illegal immigrants, has no place to live. Her life savings is gone. She cried for help from everyone, the Ministry of Works, Immigration, the government, the police, everyone. They always tell you do things the right way, right? She went to everyone over years. Someone said, why did you let them stay on there so long? She didn't. She tried. But what do you want her to do? Pick up a gun as an old lady and go in there by herself? What did you want her to do as a Bahamian? And what shocked her and devastated her the most, more than anything else, was the fact that she went to everybody in this country for help when they broke down her house and destroyed her life savings and threatened to kill her. And no one came to her aid. But as soon as she showed up to take her land back, they sent 7 police cars and a whole assistant commissioner. Now, I don't know what Bahamas you all want to live in. Die in the Bahamas I want to live in. I don't know what 50 years you're celebrating, but what are you celebrating if a Bahamian can be kicked off of their land violently? Because the destruction of her home was violence. She was robbed. And no one showed up to her aid. Not one police car said, did he threaten you? Oh, well, we're going to go in the back there and deal with that. Not one. Said, what did they do? They destroyed your house? Not one police officer said, not on my watch. Not one. But they can interrupt an assistant commissioner of police who was on his way to a funeral and say, listen, they messing with our Haitians. They messing with our money. Go stop them. Bahamas, we went there with the police. There were 4 police officers, 2 police cars that went there with us in order to carry this out. She showed them her papers. Some of you saw a part of it on live. Showed them her papers. They see her papers. They even talked to the pastor and they said, listen, go in there and this is what's going to happen. This is what we came here to do. We were working with the police. Someone overrode the police that was there, overrode this woman on her private property, and sent an assistant commissioner of police to kidnap me and this woman, take us into a police car, and move us away from there. Let me tell you how sick this is. As we went there, all of you can see it from the live. As we went there, we went to demolish all of the vacant buildings to make sure that no one else goes in them. And we also were speaking to persons and asking them nicely to move and giving them time to move because they were already given several warnings. And some people we gave 20 minutes, some people we gave more to move. As you can see, everyone agreed. Even one fellow who was talking to me, with his girlfriend and saying that he paid us some money, and he was lying, of course, that he used to pay rent, I think $300 a year or something like that, to this woman. Even him said, well, he don't have a problem moving. He have to move. It's not his property, it's her property. Even him was saying he has to move. All of the illegal immigrants on the property agreed to move, and some had begun packing up. This is how sick Philip Brave Davis administration is. The illegal immigrants knew that they were doing wrong. We met with some of them in the church. All of them said, what is happening is wrong. What happened to this woman is wrong. They began packing up. And then comes B.K. Barnaby, Assistant Commissioner of Police, and notice who he spoke to when he said this. He moved away from the Bahamians and went to the Haitians who were gathered and said, no demolition will take place. He said it to the Haitians. If you come there to stop us from demolition, why don't you say it to us? He said it to the Haitians, and they started clapping. They started jeering. One of the men started pointing in Miss Justina's face, right in front of B.K. Barnaby. Started pointing in her face. I don't know whose country this is. I don't know if Bahamians are ready to wake up. But I know we can't take any more of this. Bahamians are treated like dogs and trash in their own country. We are now last class. We're not second class. Everyone is over us. Because now that Philip Brave Davis has come in, even the illegal immigrants are above us in our country. Bahamians, the question is what you're going to do. So you have a choice. You could continue to vote for the people who are doing this. You could vote for Pintard. Pintard was a part of Save the Bays and Fred Smith and all them, who was saving, the Haitians and paying for all these injunctions and stuff. Pintard was a part of that, so I can guarantee you that was who was his financer, and should he come to power, it's going to get worse. Brave Davis promised these illegal immigrants that he was going to look out for them, and as you can see, it is happening. Don't mind what they say, watch what they do. Someone says, next time, don't go live. No. Exactly what I wanted you to see, you saw. You see, we could have broken down a house, and that would have been nice to break down a house, or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5. That would have been nice. But then there would have just been some houses broken down. What we need you to see is your government in action. Because what the government did was say, the hell with this woman, the hell with this Bahamian, this land is for the Haitians. Our crown land that they issued to her. That's what they showed you. I needed you to see that. That was more important than a house or 2 or 3 being broken down. This government is not for you. Yes, they're going to find a way coming close to the election, because that's what they're waiting for. They issue some little crumbs to keep you pacified, because they know that Bahamians are so passive that you just give them a little something and they will be so pacified that they will be raped and robbed and allow it and say nothing. But oh no, something is on the horizon, and I'm only calling on you guys to wake up. You saw that with your own eyes. You saw us there with the police doing something that is legal in law. I hear people, putting all this stuff over social media about, Lincoln don't have a right to do this or that or whatever. Anybody has a right to destroy any vacant building on their property. Remember when Franklin Wilson was breaking down houses without a court order and without actual deeds to the properties in the Pinewood Gardens, Lindenville Estates area? Remember that? Remember who fought against him and our homes and stopped them? It was Lincoln Bain. When everyone else chickened out, not everyone, but when everyone chickened out, and they were afraid to stand up against them, and they started attacking me viciously. They started spreading lies and all kinds of things against me. It's 2010. Because I was fighting them for these people. So Frankie Wilson them could break down a home that someone living in without a court order. But this woman can break down a shack that's empty on her yard. Bahamas, we got to stand up and fight. Let me tell you something. Sometimes I want you to see. I want you to pay attention. You know, in this world or the next, a coward like BK Barnaby could stand up to me. I don't want you to think for 1 second that because I let you see what's going on, that I'm soft in any kind of way. Anyone who worked on the police force will tell you that. They know that I am a monster. They know that. If I want to be. And I could have dragged a BK Barnaby all over that Shanty Town. But there's a time and a place for everything. I want you to see what they are doing to you. I want you to pay close attention to what they are doing to you. Now, the FNM is trying to jump on our bandwagon and start to push for things that we've been saying. Right? I want you to watch this. Last week, a couple of days ago, they had a little thing, I guess, in the Michael constituency. And they had, what's his name? Desmond Bannister talking about the Shanty Towns and lying to the people about what the FNM did and didn't do. I mean, absolute lying. I want you to listen to this liar. He was there, Minister was there, Adrian Gibson was there, and others were there. The deputy leader of the party was there. The leader, he ain't come. You know, he don't mix with Minister. Watch this.
We were very close to demolishing all of the targeted structures before the court ordered us to stop. But even though we stopped the demolitions, we did not allow a single, not one more illegal structure to be built in the target area. So up until September 2021, not one illegal structure was built on the farm. But now, during the past 16 months, the farm has more illegal structures than ever before. It's grown that bad.
You hear that last one, Guardian?
You don't have to believe me. The MPs in Abaco have now publicly spoken about it. As have the residents of Redutra and Harbour Island. The failure to follow our policy of not permitting the construction of more illegal structures, has come at
I don't know what I just heard, but I think you heard it too. Bannister said that after the injunction, the FNM did not allow not one more illegal shanty house to be built in Abaco. Well, to be built on the whole. But he didn't allow, the FNM didn't allow one more shanty. That is a lie from the pits of hell. I went there myself. I went there with Glit Watson, and you could see they were rebuilding. And we broadcast that. Do you remember? We broadcast live from Abaco. We came back months later, me, Maria, and the whole Bain Evolution team. And we came back live in Abaco. Remember when Maria was walking all through and we were looking for her and we were talking to the legal immigrants and they were admitting that they were just letting them build? Remember that? The FNM was in power. That was before election. And now they're trying to make it seem like, oh, well, we didn't let any more houses be built. It happened after September when Brave Davis got in power. I am so tired of the back and forth of these liars. And so the FNM is trying to spin some wicked story, some evil lie. Some evil lie. But the fact of the matter is, they had an injunction, and the PLP is doing this too, using the injunction as a lie. And this is why you can't trust them, Bahamas. They think that we're stupid. They are saying that only the injunction stopped them from doing demolitions. You never appealed the injunction, FNM. You could have simply appealed it, but no, you wanted that injunction. It was the plan. Minnis and Fred Smith worked together on this. I was sitting in Fred Smith's office and he wanted to show me that he was in control of Hubert Alexander Minnis. And he called Minnis on the phone and talking, he cussed him out like a dog. I talked about this live before. This was the plan all along. I'm going to make it look like I'm against the illegal immigrants. We're going to find some vacant buildings that no one is living in. We're going to demolish them, and I could go and do a photo op, and I'm going to kick down a door and say no more shanty towns, and then I'm going to send the Haitians to you to do an injunction to stop me. And then I can say it's the court that did it. Come on, man, it's old tricks. Bahamas, we can't be falling for this nonsense. These old political tricks. This is the old Pontius Pilate. Oh, I wash my hand of this. You all say crucify him. This old political tricks. Brave Davis, them saying, oh, we'll see, well, up to this time, there was an injunction in place. There was no injunction that stopped them. All they had to do was come to the court and say, we want to break down these homes, all right? That's all the court was saying. Just like with your landlord can't just kick you out, all right? Because even if you owe him money, no matter what the lease says, if the lease says he can kick you out, he still can't kick you out. He has to go to court, and then the court will say, hey, get out. That's all the court was saying to them. Come to the court so we can make sure it's being done fairly and properly and say, listen, these houses right here, we won't break them down. That's all the court was saying from the jump. But none of them ever wanted to do anything because it's a big money maker. It's so crazy that the PLP government went to court and they got a judgment that hurt them, and they painted it, and the media painted it as if the PLP won something. They lost. So Abaco was made just like the rest of the Family Islands. That's not a win, because all of the other Family Islands, that's how it was. You couldn't discriminate Abaco against everyone else now because you also have shanty towns in those islands too. So Abaco was just made like everybody else, but Nassau is where they lost. They lost in New Providence because now they have restriction that was not there before. They have to prove that there's a danger to public health in order to remove the shanty towns. And guess what else? The injunction that was there before stopped them from building new houses. But guess what they did? They removed that injunction. So guess what they can do? They can now build new houses. Bahamas, y'all stop getting tricked. They removed the injunction and stopped them from building new houses. And then they painted it as a win while they used that court opportunity to make it so that they could build more houses unimpeded. And so now what is going to happen is, and the police officers told me the reason why they were sent out there to stop me. There's a couple of reasons. And one of them is the government, well, Brave Davis, I'm going to be straight. Officers, I'm sorry I have to say this. Brave Davis feel like I was showing him up because I was out there being serious and doing a demolition. He felt that it would make me look too good. So he told them to stop me at all costs. But for goodness sake, don't lock him up. That was the word. At all costs, do not let him demolish no homes. But for goodness sake, do not lock him up. The answer to them was, well, how we could do that? How we could stop him without locking him up? I don't know, but y'all just figure it out. That was reason number one. Thank you, officers. Brave Davis himself. As you can see, if the police is there with us, they know that we're doing it within the law, and they're assisting us with doing it. Obviously, we're not doing anything wrong. We're not breaking any law. But they sent PLP, to come and break the law by removing us from private property illegally. By kidnapping us. That is what we have come to. The other reason is, well, you all have a mafia gangster in charge. of your affairs. And I say that I mean a mafia type. Uh, the reason they didn't want us breaking down those shanty houses is because of what we would find in there: drugs, guns, money, and other illegal contraband. That is why it was so urgent for them to stop us from breaking down even an abandoned home that no one was living in because of what would be found in there. Wake up. Crime cannot exist without government assistance. Cartels do not exist without government assistance. Y'all wake up. This is why one of the fellas said, man, before you break down this building, give me 5 days. Give me 5 days. Remember that? I don't know if he's watching it live. He said, give me 5 days before you break it down. I just need to move my stuff. Give me 5 days to move my stuff. I said, no, move it now. No, I can't move it now. Give me some day. Give me 1 day. Come back tomorrow and break it down. But let me move my stuff first. You see? You see what was happening? And let me tell you what happened. That same peach house. Do you know when BK came to grab me? Because we had already asked him to move out of the house, and the other fella had already moved out, who that fella was renting to. And we opened the door to see if the fella had gone like he had said, and BK saw that, and BK came running. BK, what's in that peach house that you were protecting? What's in the peach house that the fella said he needs some days to move what's in the house? At one point, he said he wanted to save his wood because he realized we were suspicious of what he was saying. But no. It's what was in the house. Because I told him we could help you take it down. We could help you save whatever wood you want to save. No. It's what was in that peach house. That is what they're concerned about. They want chance to move their guns and their drugs and their money that they have stashed. That is what that is about. So it's like that's how I feel. That's like when the police help the drug dealer move his stuff. Or in Bimini back in the day when they used to help the drug dealer land the plane, or on those southern islands, police will come there and help the drug dealer land the plane. Or y'all got to read that book, Cocaine Wars. Man, if I do y'all a bedtime story from this book, that'll blow your mind about the corruption in this country. He talked about the Bahamas. This was banned in the Bahamas. Finland them banned this. But if you see what I see in this book, it'll blow your mind. So we're going to have to redo. She's also going to file a criminal complaint because she didn't have names before, but now she has some names. She's going to file a criminal complaint, and the police should not have hindered her because they don't have a name. Because if you're jogging on the street and someone pulls you in the bush and robs you or rapes you, and you go to the station to file a complaint, they won't tell you, we can't take complaint because you don't have the person's name. Like, what kind of idiocy is this? If a woman say, these people trespassing on the land, you go to the land, see who's trespassing, get their IDs. They have a work permit, they have a passport, they have something. Find out who they are, and then you charge them with trespassing. Someone say trying to move that altar as well. Yeah, like they got an altar with my name and picture on it probably. But I don't do the hocus pocus foolishness. I believe in the living God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. No fair for no little hocus pocus foolishness. You all got hundreds of God. I got one. And I stand by my God. But anyway, she's going to make an official complaint. I'm going to keep you updated because now this will be civil and criminal. All right? Civil and criminal. For trespass. For threats of death and for other stuff. Now, if the police tell her in front of me, because they don't have a name, they can't take a complaint, we have a problem. So we gotta fix this. All right, we gotta fix this. To those F&Ms, y'all sit down and shut up. No one is interested in what y'all have to say. We have zero interest in what you have to say. We have to fight for this lady. And so we're gonna, what they did was a violation of her civil rights. And they aided and abetted these criminals to continue trespassing on her land. The police aided and abetted criminals who were trespassing on this woman's land by kidnapping the woman. Because she felt if she didn't do what he said to get in the car, she would be locked up or hurt or something because the man was carrying on like a monster. I had to keep telling him, calm down, relax. The woman was terrified. So we're also going to file a UN complaint on her behalf against this government. And again, that's another complaint and another lawsuit on my behalf, where we will sue them personally in their professional and private capacity. And so y'all can mark my words on that. Every time they interrupt with us, every time they interfere with us and break the law, we're going to sue them. Every single time. If they think we can run out of money, we will not. Our father owns a cattle on 1,000 hills. We ain't running out. We suing y'all every time. And I don't care if these lawsuits take 10 years to finish. In 10 years, I'll still be young. I won't be anywhere near retirement age. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to stand up and protect our country because I'm telling you, this is all we got. This is all we got. And what happened to that Bahamian woman is sick, evil, and ridiculous, and it can't be allowed to happen again. It cannot. It cannot, man. What the police force is doing with all of these Gestapo tactics cannot be. What Bahamas are we living in? Brave Davis is starting to treat the Bahamas like it's Haiti already. And in Haiti, they don't do these things to their people. In Haiti, the government wouldn't dare try this because they will overthrow the president, whoever tried to do this. In Haiti, when the people want to protest, they let them protest. If they want burn tires in the street, they let them burn tires in the street. Brave Davis has already begun the process of turning the Bahamas into Haiti. Wake up, Bahamas. I'm going to open the phone lines. I just have to do a little transition with devices in order to open the phone lines. So just bear with me for a second while I do that. I just want you to see these shanty towns again while I'm doing that. So look at the shanty town while I just transition so that I can open the phone line for you. I still got some more to say, so stay with us. But I want to open the phone lines to allow you to participate in this conversation.
My name is Sean from Marshall Barbacoa. I've been a resident here for 38 years. Today Today's date is the 9th of February 2023. As you can imagine, being here for 38 years, I've noticed more illegal migrants in the last 3 years than I noticed in the last 20 years. Our numbers are climbing through the roof. One of the things that I think that's contributing to this is the growth of the shanty towns. I've been video recording these huge houses, apartment complexes that's being built to house the new illegals entering the country. I'm also concerned that the Shanty Town is being used as a safe haven. And my belief is if we could get rid of the shanty towns, we could eradicate the safe havens for the new illegal migrants.
There is no rhyme or reason why the government cannot go today, as everyone has been saying, and clear out those shanty towns. There's a reason why they're not doing it. And if they don't want to do it, they need to have a press conference and let us know why. Right? You can't continue to have two set of rules in this country. Either the law applies or it does not. And it has to be equitable across the board. These shanty towns, like Sean said above, I agree with him. It's like a safety haven, somewhere to go when you come in on a sloop that has not been stopped in the dead of night. Right? These things sounds like they sound like stories, hey, or a movie, but it's actually happening. And how long do the Bahamians have to cry in the wilderness before the authorities, whichever government? It don't matter to me, right? I'm a Bahamian. When are we going to clear this matter up satisfactorily? You don't think that Bahamian people tired getting taxed? Right? You have people in your country almost as much as your Bahamian, your regular organic Bahamian citizen. Right? If you're not going to catch them and let them go, make sure they are contributing to this economy by clearing out the shanty towns. There are places to rent. They know how to do it. They rent one apartment, they got but 10 of them in there. At least the apartment has building codes and it's to standard. I don't know for how long, because these people come and bring their ways with them. So, it break down in no time. That ain't our problem. But our problem is Shanty Town should not be on any of our crown lands. If you're not giving the regular hard-working Bahamian access to crown land, how the hell can you let a foreigner breach our borders, come here, have children, and they be able to squat on our crown land and get land? I mean, you all mix right up. Mix right up. People are not happy, not settled with this. It's an easy fix. What is the problem? Y'all need to let the Bahamian people know what the problem is, because it ain't making no kind of sense. No kind of sense.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's your country. You're losing your country right before your very own eyes. And I don't know. Well, it's your country. I can't tell you what to do. If you don't want it, and that's on you. The phone line is open, 803-5995. 803-5995 is the number to call. 803-5995 is the number. You can call now. How do you feel about what Philip Brave Davis did to Miss Justina? How do you feel about that? As a Bahamian, that no one fought for that woman. But here we are. They came right away to fight for those illegal immigrants. Good evening, you're live.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bain.
How you doing?
Everything good, man. I just wanted to call and let the people know to keep keep this fight and keep supporting the COI because, man, Mr. Bain, you have so much wisdom. When we was out there with Miss Curry and with you guys, I told the guys, I said, listen here. Ain't nothing can get break down today because these houses full of drugs, guns, and different things. And I saw the police come in. You could ask Mr. Ingram, Conroy Ingram, and the rest of the fellas. I told him that. I said, ain't nothing getting pushed down, watch. And just like how I told him, you're right. And you was there all the time. You know they was coming to do that. You know, we couldn't,
yes.
If we wanted to, we couldn't push them houses down. And in this country, I'm tired of officers and people who we look up to. We have young boys in the community. They always pointing their finger at us with crime. But the things that they are involved with, we have no choice but to be in the mud. Because that's what they left for us. I talk about from Olympian days. They left this country in a precarious situation. We have people who are officers of the law engaged in criminal activities because they are housing and protecting these foreigners.
Wow.
You know,
this is
and
true.
You pointing your fingers at the young people. No, the young people are looking up at y'all, looking up at our leaders, at our church folks. Where's the Christian Council? You understand what I say, Mr. Bain? Trust me. Like I say, if you tell the people you're ready to die for the Bahamian people, and I stand behind the same way. I'm ready to die because I have kids that are going to grow up here in the Bahamas, and if I don't do that, then they would have to be fighting the same fight.
Thank you, man. I appreciate your call.
Yeah, so you all have a good night.
All right, you too. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good afternoon, President Bain. Bahamas, please understand this. Me and you, we ain't got that kind of power to take on the PLP and FNM. We don't have that kind of power. There's only Mr. Bain, Marie Dax, and Charlotte Green from COI. They can fight them with the sword of the law. The only thing me and you can bring to the table is our voice. And the only thing we can do is go downtown when Mr. Bain have that clarion call. So please, Bahamas, catch a bus downtown, public transportation, because I think they're going to lock us up and prepare to get locked up. And when we get our money, our grandkids will be able to enjoy the money when the government pay out. So, Mr. Bain, I'm literally, I'm going to follow you. All of these Haitians, they have intelligence. When they come up on those Haitian slopes, they know where the defense force boats are. I am assuming they have intelligence. They're getting their help. Thank you and good night.
Good night. Thank you for your call. 803-5995. 803-5995 is the numbers. You know, someone told me, said, Lincoln, you gotta put your party together. You gotta, I'll be right with you. You gotta put your organization together. You know, people want to see who your candidates are and this and that. Listen, we have to be strategic. And if you have seen me operating over the last several years, you know that I don't do things willy-nilly, and we do things extremely strategically. And we've been running circles around the Minutes administration and the same thing around the Brave Davis administration. And the fact of the matter is, we are the ones who've been governing this country from Minutes was in charge. Everything they did was in response to us, response to what we're doing. Everything they did. And so I can tell you this, you never want to release your candidates early. You don't release your candidates early because then they're going to be able to pick them off, either victimize them or pay them off or do whatever they can. We will release our candidates. I can tell you that we have some candidates that many of you are going to be proud of. We have some Bahamians who I am proud of. I see some people started calling some names out there of people that we're dealing with. But there will be people, including doctors and lawyers, who are going to be on board, accountants who are going to be on board, but also real Bahamians, regular Bahamians. there will be persons that you will be proud of. What we're looking for is people who are not going to sell out, because this is something powerful and big that we're doing. Let me get to the phone lines. Good afternoon, you're live.
Hello, you can hear me?
Yes, I can.
Mr. Lincoln Bain, I'm a former police officer. I resigned sometime in 2000, and I can say I have arrested plenty of people in Shanty Town in the past.
Awesome.
What I have learned in arresting people in the Shanty Town is a haven for drug, human smuggling,
yes,
and every other crime you can name.
Yes.
But let me give you a good idea. Majority of the time when I arrested people in the past, guess who were their bosses, their big bosses?
Go.
Ministers of Parliament.
Yes.
Who were aiding them, big chief on the police force. So the illegals come in here, but they are aided by the government and the police force. That's why you see them so protective of the Shanty Town where you were yesterday. We have a government them who think like mafias. You can take my word. If the Bahamian people don't fight this lap, this country ain't gonna be ours no more. You gotta stand and fight with you. I've been out there all the time with you. We gotta stand and fight. This just can't be a fight and Charlotte and Daxon fight alone. All of us must stand. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your call. And so, yes, of course, there's no way that we could be doing the things that we're doing if it's me, Maria Daxon, and Charlotte Green. We decided to be the leaders. We decided to take the victimization. We decided to give up even our personal careers in order to make this happen to a certain extent. We have to make the sacrifice, because when you're fighting against government, they fight against everything you do. We can't afford our candidates to put themselves on hold for the next 3 to 4 years in order to wait for that to happen. Now, we expect election to be by early next year, but we still can't take that. So what we are doing is we are forming our branches. So if you're serious about this, then be a part of our branches. When they have the branch meetings, make sure you're a part of it and join our branches. And we're going to be doing a lot of activities, as you can see. Even before election, through election, we have not stopped. We've been working constantly. So we will stand in the front to take the bullets and do what we have to do. But trust me, there's a team there that you can see. And you're going to be proud when it's time to make that happen. I'll explain some more in a minute. Good afternoon. You're live.
Pleasant good evening, Mr. Bain. Good evening, Bahamas.
Same to you.
Yeah. Derek Benjamin Demerit Jr. Yeah, Mr. Bain, I calling in to encourage you. I am so excited. My spirit is, and I have favor with God and man. I was one of them as a PLP that fought for Brave Davis, right? Out of respect, right? The Right Honorable Philip Edward Davis Casey. I fought for him to become the Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, to become the chief citizen, to fight for the Bahamian people and to do the things first and foremost he stated he was going to do on the campaign trail. Like in the first 100 days, anti-corruption legislation. We don't see it, Mr. Bain, right? We don't see it, and I'm sick and tired as a citizen of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas for these government officials going inside our House of Parliament and not doing the things that they say they was going to do. It needs to stop.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage you, Mr. Bain, right? I call you Honorable Lincoln Bain. That's what I call you.
Thank you.
Honorable Lincoln Bain, because you are honorable, sir, because the things that you are doing on behalf of the Bahamian people, we have not seen it happen, right? And so we need you. I reiterate, we the Bahamian people need you, and this is Derek Benjamin, the American, and I'm encouraging every Bahamian citizen under the sound of my voice to support Lincoln Bain, Maria Daxon, Charlotte Green, and the coalition. Support the Bahamian Evolution movement. Right? I believe in you. And you know what, Mr. Bain, before I go, they said, oh, well, Mr. Bain is a spoiler party. I said, oh, really? Well, he ain't never show me that. Huh? He ain't never show me that. And so I support you. I am ready now at this become a member of your organization, sir. And so I hope that you would accept me. I am serious about what God have in store for the Bahamas. Right? It is really about success, Mr. Bain. It is about the next generation. I'll close with this. These politicians are concerned about the next general election only. They are only concerned about the next general election. They will do whatever to win the next general election. But it is really leaders like yourself, Mr. Bain, true leaders who are concerned about the next generation. That's Dr. Miles Monroe. That's not me.
Yeah.
I'm quoted. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
So I will do what is necessary to become a member of your organization, sir, the coalition. And I will continue to push for it. I will be truthful to you and loyal to you once you stay on this path. Once you stay on this path, because this is the path that God has put you on. You understand? And I believe God and I trust God's word. And so we believe God on this one. And so we go with you.
I have, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I have one confession to make, though. I want to tell you that we are a spoiler party, and we are going to spoil everything for those corrupt governments that we have had, the PLP and FNM. We are coming to ruin their plans, ruin their corrupt system, and we are going to spoil the status quo. That is what we are going to do.
Wonderful. This is a positive spoil, yeah.
Yes.
I was talking about the negative spoil, but it's a positive spoil. This is what we need. The time has expired, sir. Have a nice day.
Thank you, man. 803-5995, 803-5995. 803-5995 is the number. And so you can call in. Yeah, definitely. We are going to spoil everything for them. We're going to finish them. All right. It's enough of this foolishness. Only them getting rich every election, and they got us running up and down behind them in the hot sun. Got us throwing our children out of the house. They must put their children out of the house for these evil people. Good afternoon. You're live.
Yes, Mr. Bain, good evening.
Good evening.
I have a question in reference to persons coming in through the airport, no matter which country you're coming from. I would think that in the computer system, let's say they put my name in the system, that shows I entered the Bahamas on a particular day.
Yes.
And when it's time for me to go out, wouldn't that also show the date in which I left the Bahamas when I came in?
Yes, it would. It would.
It's supposed to, right? So if we have persons who are coming in and not going back, whenever they are caught, shouldn't that be updated in the system, and that way we can know who we can expel from the country indefinitely?
Yes. All of this can be done. We have all of the law we need in order to take care of our immigration situation. The only problem is corruption. And it's corruption on the government's part and corruption on our part, the Bahamian people, because we keep seeing them doing the same thing over and over. Our country is being stolen from under us, and we keep just voting for a party because that's my party. I just love this party. And they can do whatever they want. That is the problem.
You know, I have one more point to make. You know, I've been listening to some of the radio talk show hosts, especially the ones on ZNS. They always have this attitude that Bahamians are lazy, they don't save any money, they have no money in the bank, the Haitian people have money in the bank. Well, you know what I need to say, and I would like to say to a lot of them, Bahamians, we can't save $1 because they're taxing us like crazy. We got to pay mortgage, we got to pay rent, we have to take care of our kids. When those Haitians living in the Shanty Towns, they don't contribute $1 to anything. So yeah, they can save their money because they don't have the amount of bills that we have to pay. I remember back in the day, I mean, I was born in the 60s. My mom and aunts and stuff, everybody used to have 8 and 7 and 10 kids. Bahamian people know today we can't afford to have that amount of kids because we can't afford to take care of all of them, because of the tax that has been put upon us by our own government. So yes, the Haitian women are coming in and they're having 6 and 7 and 10 children because then they don't have no expense.
Yeah.
You know, they don't have no expense. They don't pay anything. This one man said he lived in that Shanty Town for 20 years. And then the government is going to say, because their Shanty Town burned down, they have to find places for them to live.
Wow.
I mean, we have Bahamians living in cars because they can't afford a home or an apartment because our pay scale is so low.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
It's sickening. It's sickening. It's sickening. Thank you, man. Thank you. Just to update all of you, yes, we are going to Miami. There are 2 dates flying around, but we are going in March, and so we're going to give you the official date in short order. In the coming days, we're going to give you the official date. It's going to be the end of March, so stay tuned for that. But we are going to Miami. What happened is that some Bahamians who live in America, some are citizens, some are residents, they live in America. They were disgusted at what they saw Philip Brave Davis and the administration do to Bahamians. It has never been done in the Western Hemisphere. Never. No country in the Western Hemisphere, including in Haiti, has stopped their people from protesting, brought out guns on them, beat them, dragged them, kicked them, choked them, kidnapped them. That has never happened in the Western Hemisphere. Not just in the history of our country. It has never happened. And so some Bahamians living in the U.S. are disgusted, and they are organizing to go to the Bahamian embassy in Miami for a protest. How ironic is it that we can get a permit to protest in the U.S., and of course you'll see on the permit is a notification, right? But a permit test in the U.S., but you can't get permission to protest in your own country in the Bahamas. How sickening is that? How evil is this government? How have we turned into worse than Haiti? What kind of regime is this? That people would sit down and allow this. I want to say thank you to Sean McQueenie, who is a known PLP lawyer, constitutional lawyer, who put something out there to let the whole world know that he does not agree with this and what happened, that it was wrong to charge us with an offense. It is clearly a constitutional breach. I want to thank Sean McQueenie for having the courage. I want to thank Bishop Walter Henshaw for having the courage to stand up when he and his organization depends on handouts from powerful persons and from government. I want to say thank you for all of those who stood up. But where's the voice of the Christian Council? The Christian Council said that people shouldn't disrespect the Prime Minister as he's walking to the House. The Christian Council said nothing when women were beat, dragged, choked, etc. on a beach in our country. When a political leader was kidnapped and driven all around Nassau. And held in like Guantanamo Bay in a Gestapo type situation for more than 2 days, more than 48 hours. Nothing from them. They don't dare open their mouths. I want to thank all those who stood up, who put down politics and religion to say that I'm going to stand up for what's right. There's some people out there that have this impression that the people who support COI are rowdy folk. They're starting to put out there that, oh, these are people who don't work, etc., etc. I want you to understand that out there on that beach on that day, including persons arrested, were millionaires, doctors, lawyers, accountants, professionals of all walks of life, engineers, pilots. You see, the PLP is used to paying $50 to rent a crowd. That's what they do. So they feel that we have to do that. No, Bahamians are tired and fed up. They don't need to get paid to come out there and stand up for their children, for their future. Those days are gone. There were some persons out there who were multimillionaires. One of the persons arrested, they were one of the biggest companies in this country. But if I call a name that you would know, them and their spouse own one of the biggest companies in this country. Arrested out there on the beach treated like a dog. Another gentleman who was arrested with us is a well-known millionaire, lives in a house, is doing very good in business. We are Bahamians from all walks of life. We are Bahamians, the COI is Bahamians who live in mansions, and some of us who live in the ghetto. We are Bahamians from all walks of life who are fed up. We are Black Bahamians, we are white Bahamians. We are Chinese Bahamians. We are Bahamians. We are Bahamians who have had enough. And so if y'all want to spread this nonsense that we are a rowdy group of people, no. We are just people who are fed up and we've had enough. And so when you see the people start to row the government, in your words, you know that something is about to go down, that the people tired. You see, they're used to only political trolls having a say on social media because normally Bahamians don't want you to know who they're voting for. So they wouldn't put themselves out there. So everyone you see being vocal were paid trolls before. But now they're seeing regular Bahamians out there speaking. And some of them are saying, oh, some of these people who are COI persons, they're too rowdy and they're going to turn other people off. Listen, this is about saving our country. And if you let someone, because they're a supporter of the COI, turn you off, you ain't serious about this country. If someone who's a PLP curse out someone else, what does it have to do with the administration of the PLP? What does that have to do with the leadership of the PLP or the PLP itself? If someone who is a PLP supporter slaps someone, what does that have to do with the PLP itself? I'll be right with you on the phone. What does that have to do with them? Yes, there are some people who support us who are very rowdy on social media. There are also people who are very intellectual who support us. There are persons with doctorate degrees and master's degrees who support us. The support is growing all over this country, white and black. There were people from Spanish Wells who called after the Haitian situation recently when they thought I was arrested. And they were disgusted at the actions of the government. Disgusted. So let them go and think that we are some people who looking for something or people who want to get handouts. Let them keep thinking that. I know one thing. They wanted us to go to prison. They wanted us to go to prison that day. That's why they acted, in a certain way. They gave us the court case was finished at 2 o'clock and the thing was closing at 3 o'clock. How do you even process 18 people that fast? And cash bail, we came up with $49,000 in cash in 1 hour. 1 hour? Only God. It's a God move, and it's a move of the people. Good afternoon, you're live.
Good evening, Mr. President. How
Good
are you?
evening. I'm good.
Awesome. I was with you yesterday in support. I was out there.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I just want to say that I was totally disgusted by the outcome, but I understand where you were coming from. And if you say we got to win, I go with that.
That was a phenomenal win. We are in the middle of a war, all right? And sometimes you need the enemy to expose themselves for other people to see what's going on.
Okay, I feel you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was reading over something that David said in regards to the removal of the Shanty Town with the injunction being lifted. And I need you to clarify this to me because he ain't too bright and he really lost me. So I said, let me come to you who could probably shed some light on this for me. And so I'm going to quote from his speech.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, however, when asked over a week ago about the implications of the ruling, Mr. David said, what it means is it now allows us to employ the process to correct those issues within the Shanty Town. There's a process for removal of any erection of buildings. We intend to engage in those and then deal with those issues that impact us in respect to that issue. End quote. Now I confused. So I can need you to clear it up for me.
Let me help you with the process. Let me tell you what the process is. And let me tell you what the process will be. You give a contract to the owner of tractors. You direct them to where you need to demolish. You get the police, etc., involved to make sure they search the houses before you break them down, and you break them down. While you are there to break them down, you have immigration officers there also to chase down and lock up anyone who is illegal, anyone whose papers look suspicious. You lock them up, and they got to prove that their papers are proper papers. That is the process. There is no other process that I am interested in. Now, the nonsense he's talking about now the injunction is lifted, that is nonsense. All right? The injunction always was what I said before. All it was the court says, come to us before you break down in Abaco and New Providence. There was no injunction on any of the other islands. And the fact that they keep doing that shows you that they're trying to deceive you, and you have to wake up. The fact that they come with these little tricky talks about the injunction, that shows you that they're trying to deceive you, and you shouldn't believe anything that they say. All right?
This sounds like a bunch of going around the merry-go-round to come
Yes.
to a conclusion that just don't make no sense to me.
But you heard what he said before.
Issues all about.
He said they cannot break down the homes unless they can replace them and find somewhere for them to go. I can assure you that there have been meetings, 2 that I know about, with the Minister of Immigration, Keith Bell, and a foreign power, where they're trying to make arrangements for just that. They want to house these people. Keith Bell asked for $11 million, all right, to be able to house these people. Now, I'm saying this live. Keith Bell, if I lie, and lock me up, all right, because that would be defamation. To be able to house these people, to make housing for them, and then have demolition of the shanty towns. So it will look like they are doing their job by demolishing these shanty towns. They would have already made arrangement with these individuals, move them to somewhere nice, put them up, and then do the demolishing so that they could give them the praise as they see they're demolishing the shanty towns, just like they're doing now. With going in there and doing some arrests, which is all of it is fake.
So all of this goes to show that the Dorian victims could all have been in homes long time.
Yes.
It's been 4 years. They
Yes.
could already been settled in a home.
Yes. So much money was given for Dorian that it's mind-blowing. Minutes kept it from the Bahamian people. And now Brave Davis, when he was calling for commission of inquiry before this, he's not saying anything. A lot of the people have not gotten their people were promised $10,000 their homes are destroyed. Many people have not gotten anything. All right? They've not gotten the money that was allocated for that. No one is fighting for these people. All right? It's ridiculous. I cannot see how anyone in Abaco could vote PLP or F&M moving forward. I am disturbed, not at what Minnis did, but that after what he did, that anyone could put their mark to F&M. That disturbs me. Thank you for your call.
I agree. Okay, thank you too.
All right. You know, someone says no sound on my end. Well, you probably need to go out and come back in. I wanna quickly address something, and I normally don't talk about this, but I think, you know, the PLP trolls were dealing with this, and they actually stopped running on with this when the transcript went out, but no one would talk about this transcript that went out. You know, I have a civil lawsuit that was out there. Where I tried to help a woman. She invested in the company. She bought out the kids' shoe section of our company. The store then shortly after that burned down, and she sued, but she sued me instead of suing the company. And she brought some fake documents that were copies, not even originals, with a signature saying it's my signature on it. Someone confessed that it was their signature. The judge, of course, you know who the judge is, but I'm not saying anything about that. The judge said that she didn't think the signatures line up, and so I sued. All right, and that's simple. It's a court process, and once the process is finished, if they say I pay, then I pay. If they say I don't pay, then that is what it is. Because I invested, I lost probably. I lost a lot of money, hundreds of thousands. I think about 800,000 what I initially invested, but the total investment is millions that we put back into it. So I just wanted to do this, and I just wanted to read this. I'm going to screen share the transcript because people even put this transcript out, and they shared that judgment like crazy from the judge. But then they ain't shared the transcript to show what the Court of Appeal actually had to say about this. And so I'm going to actually show you the transcript. And I normally wouldn't waste time with this kind of stuff, but I want you to see this for yourselves, for your very own eyes, and share it. I want you to share this around because they don't have nothing on me, so they keep trying to bring up this civil case, like every single member of parliament don't have some kind of civil case. But they're trying to bring this up to try to accuse me of some stuff. I'll get to the phone lines again in a second, so y'all just bear with me. I just want you to see this. This is the transcript of actually what transpired. And I'm going to put the full thing out there so you can get it. All right. And so I'm saying this because this is in the public domain. It's a public document. This is a transcript of that case. And so this is where the lawyer right here was saying that the signatures didn't match. And so Justice Carolina Bethel, and so you're going to see Carolina Bethel where it says the president that's talking about Michael Barnett and Evans. And so Carolina Bethel, so we're going to have a little story time here for a minute so we can see actually what was said. And I can't wait for this to go to the Privy Council based on what I experienced in the court. So we went to the Court of Appeal and transcript of the Court of Appeal. Carolina Bethel said, Ms. Pyfrom, the lawyer said that the signature didn't match up, meaning that the fellow who said he did the signature, it didn't match up when they asked in court. Ms. Bethel, this is Ms. Bethel talking. She said, Ms. Pyfrom and Ms. Wright and the judge, none of you are handwriting experts, are you? Ms. Pyfrom, we are not, my lord. We are not. But I will take you I will take you, my lord, to Section 62 of the Evidence Act. So she tried to take him to the law to say that the judge could let someone sign and then make a determination. All right. Evans, this is Evans, Milton Evans. He said, if you had a witness, I could understand the best evidence in the circumstance would have been a witness who witnessed the signature. All right, because they brought no witnesses, even though they said that there's some witness signed. They did not bring original documents reference to me. All right, and so the judge was telling them, if you had a witness, then you could understand, but you don't have a witness. And so the president said, yeah, so Ms. Butterfield, she had a witness, a C. Butterfield. We don't know who that is, and I can't bring them because I just had C. Butterfield. And it says, Justice Evans says, it would then be up to him to satisfy the court that she was not speaking the truth because the signature is not his. But in this case, you did not provide a witness. You did not provide a handwriting expert. And Ms. Pyfrom is the lawyer for the other side. My lords, we produced an original document with Mr. Bain's signature on it according to the Evidence Act. And when she said that, she's talking about not with reference to this, but reference to the company, not reference to my this alleged agreement between me and the woman. So, President, that's Michael Barnett, says, as I have said, and as Justice Bethel just said, the fact of the matter is the value of that evidence is questionable because you are not a handwriting expert. And so this is the president of the Court of Appeal saying, listen, you ain't bring no witness. The man says he ain't his signature, and you ain't get a handwriting expert, which is your job to do. And so the evidence is questionable at best because of whatever. And then he went to another point. He said, before yet, there was another point I wanted to raise with you because you move on quickly and I did not want to interrupt you. But in terms of Mr. Baines accepting the $40,000, that you said he indicates in the witness statement. Let us look at that carefully. Look at paragraph 6 and 7 of the witness statement. Are you with me? She said, yes, I'm with you. And by the way, this person who they say accused me has not shown up to court since 2017, when she did that. She said that she gave me a check, but the check was in her name for $36,000. I gave it to me to clear. It was in her name for me to put on my account, which is impossible. And she never showed up to court from then to now. We don't even know if she's alive. This is going to Court of Appeal, a lawyer showed up, but we have not seen this woman from then to now. Since we asked her, well, bring the check that you say you gave to him, because if by magic or some corruption he was able to cash that, he would have had to sign the back. Why didn't you bring the check? But anyway, let's go on. And she started reading off this so-called said agreement that was a copy that she brought. That was whatever. I'm just reading this, because this is out there in the public domain. Right? And she's reading this here. I'm just scrolling, but I'm not reading it, but you can see it. So they stopped her, and this is, I think this is Evan talking. Now, he does not say that he received anything beyond $3,000, does he? I think it's what Justice Evans or the president said. Ms. Pyfrom, my lord, I look at the paragraph. He said the aforementioned at paragraph 5, and she said was paid to, Justice Evans says, Pyfrom. He says here, I on behalf of the second defendant. And Justice Evans cut off and said, he said the aforementioned payment of the sum of $40,000 was paid to the second defendant. Who was the second defendant? Ms. Pyfrom, my lord, again, that was never alleged that the second defendant received anything. Justice Evans said, no. The point I am making, Ms. Pyfrom, is that you indicated to us that in his witness statement, he accepted that he received the $40,000. Now I am checking back and I am looking at it. I see that he agreed to accepting $3,000. I do not see anything he said it was paid to the second defendant. My lords, the evidence before the court was that Mr. Bain was given this amount of money on the 22nd or whatever. As Justice Evans says, you are not getting my point. I am getting your point, she said, my lord, and said, would you listen, please? You indicated to us that he received $40,000. You were asked to show the evidence of it, and you said in his witness statement that he acknowledged receiving it. Now, whether he accepted it someplace else is a different point. But I am saying, looking at the witness statement, it does not bear your assertions that he received $40,000. Would accept that, Ms. Pyfrom? I accept, my lord, that implied in that he attempts to say that he only received $3,000 payment. But my lord, we go back to the arguments that were before the court. He had already acknowledged by signing the agreement that Lincoln Bain received $36,000. The court can only go by the evidence before it. Ms. Pyfrom, I am simply addressing, this is Evans talking, addressing the statement you made to the court to check its accuracy. I was not making any further point. As far as from my reading, it seemed that it was not complete. All right? So it is not completely accurate. She says, my lord, I will take your point with respect to Mr. Bain not saying I received $40,000. He simply said that on behalf of the second defendant, you will gain, my lords. There was no allegation that he cut her off, Mr. Evans, and said, he does not say that. He said it was paid to the second defendant. She said, there's no evidence that it was, my lord. The only evidence, and he cut off again, Ms. Pyfrom, as counsel, you must be able to understand the point I am making. I understand your point, my lord. Whatever points you want to make, or any other point, the fact of the matter is the paragraph that you referred us to does not say what you said it said. That is all I am saying to you. It does not. You should be able to understand that. The lawyer said, I take your point on that. Okay, so now you can move on to whatever else you want. But that is the only point I wanted to make. All right. And so basically, they made the entire Supreme Court judgment on the fact that I admitted to receiving $40,000, which was not the truth. And to come in the appeals court, she had to say, they asked her, well, where did he say that? Because we don't see where he said that. And she pointed them to my witness statement, but the witness statement didn't say what they said. And so this is where we are, because there's no truth to what was being alleged. And so the problem is, now I'll show you the last thing I'm going to show, because I see, these PLPs keep talking about this, but they won't go to the actual facts of what actually was said. I'm going to go to page 75. All right, to what actually was said, and what actually took place. And so basically, the court said you have to do more than just prove that he signed the document. You have to prove that he received the funds. And there's no proof that he received these funds, because, yeah, you could sign a document and the person don't ever pay, but you give them the receipt. Now they can come back to the receipt and use it, but they have to show that they actually paid. All right. And so I don't know if I'm still sharing my screen. Let me right, hold on a second. Let me share my screen again. And I think it's important that we do this. I don't have anything to hide. I never do. And so, like I said, if I have something with someone, I'm going to give it to them. I'm a businessman. I've been a businessman for a very long time. And if I was a scandalous businessman, I would have go with BC, National Insurance, Customs. They would be able to show something that I've done with all of these retail businesses that I've done. They can't find nothing, no blemish. Just someone who said she gave me some money, but she couldn't prove how she gave me this money. And the way she said she gave me the money is impossible. And so, let me see. Yeah, so this is where the lawyer again is trying to prove her case, but she's having serious problems with the judges here. Because after she read this here, I won't go into reading it, but I'll put this out there. The president of the Supreme Court, right here, with a Court of Appeal, said, was the check ever produced into evidence? The other lawyer, Ms. Wright, said, nope. Because if you say you paid someone by check, there would be a check. So the president said, was a check ever paid into evidence? So the other lawyer said, no. And then Ms. Pryfrom said, this is the lawyer for the lady. My lord, no, the check wasn't produced. The check produced in evidence, my lord. The check was given to Mr. Bain, endorsed at the back of it. That was the evidence, and handed to Mr. Bain. Keep in mind, my lords, that this transaction was supposed to have ended in 2013. The funds were paid over in 2010. They expect the plaintiff to produce the actual check. She did not deny that the check was payable to her. She never denied that. So the check was written to her. She alleged. She said, I gave Mr. Bain the check for $36,000. His concern was that the check was in my name, meaning her name, the lady's name. So what he did was he called someone in the bank, and the bank told him to simply have me endorse the back of the check. Mr. President, I doubt seriously the check was negotiated in cash. Ms. Pryfrom is a lawyer. No, it wasn't. I don't think that check was negotiated in cash. And so, Mr. President, so the check would have been deposited into some account. Mr. Pryfrom, correct. Mr. President, and there is no evidence as to, Ms. Pryfrom cut him off. Mr. Bain said that it was paid to Bonnie, my lord. Did somebody produce the check? I mean, the bank account of Bonnie to show the $36,000 was paid to Bonnie's account? Ms. Pryfrom and Mr. Bain never produced that, as far as we are aware. The president, Michael Bonnet, said, Mr. Bain never produced? That is why you have discovery. That is why you have subpoenas, duces tectum, and you know all the rest of that for. So in other words, how you can tell him to produce it? You need to prove that he received this, is what they're saying. Mr. Piper, my lord, according to the evidence, Mr. Bain, everything in connection with this act, with this transaction was destroyed in the fire. Mr. President, I accept that that may be true, but which bank did he bank with? Justice Evans, the bank was not destroyed. Mr. President, exactly. We spy from her lawyer. Again, I took the court to that portion of the transcript because the learned you had asked, my lords, whether Mr. Bain ever accepted receiving this check. Mr. Bain never denied receiving it. He simply said that the check was given to Bonnie. Here, the evidence of the plaintiff was that the check was written in her name. There was never a check in Bonnie's name. The check was not in her name. The check was in her name, for $36,000. There was a concern that it was made out to her. Mr. Bain made a call to the bank. That is her evidence. He was there. Mr. Bain made a call to the bank, and the bank said that you can just have her endorse the check, and that was what she did. There was never an allegation that a check was ever made payable to Bonnie. The balance, and you can see that there, she's actually having a discussion about an impossibility. You cannot go to the bank with $36,000 written in someone else's name and cash that. And how much you endorse that. All right. The balance of that $30,000 again was paid in the same way, only that it was made payable to Mr. Bain personally. When you look at if you would do this basic math, Mr. President, this is Barnett responding. The issue is, was the $36,000 paid? And if it was paid, to whom was it paid? Is it the position of Mr. Bain that the $36,000 was paid, but was paid to Bonnie and not to him? Ms. Pye from her lawyer. That's the case, my lord. President said, okay, you understand, Ms. Wright, you understand, you understand, Ms. Wright, is that his case? Ms. Wright, yes, my lord. He also said if it was paid to Bonnie, I mean, he has no proof that it was paid to Bonnie, but if she could prove that it was paid to Bonnie, then fine. Python said, my lord, the president, Ms. Wright, he is the director of Bonnie. Ms. Wright said, and that's my lawyer, I know, my lord, but the president, he had to know whether or not it was paid to Bonnie, $36,000. He gets paid $36,000 every day, Ms. Wright. I accept that, my lord, but we never got that check. This is not his check. This is her check. And she, in her statement of claim, pleaded that she would produce it. Yes, in her statement of claim, she said, listen, this is a check. I will bring this to court. She never brought the check or any original documents to court. The president responded, Ms. Wright, the issue is who got this money. Ms. Wright, exactly, my lord. Mr. President, so you say that Mr. Bain did not get the money. Mr. Bain could produce his bank records for a couple of months after the date the check, and it would show that his bank account was not credited $36,000. Mr. Bain is also a director of Bonnie. He is able to get the bank to produce the bank accounts of Bonnie for a month prior to the date for the check, or for a period of time 2 months after the date of the check, and it would show whether or not a check for $36,000 was deposited into Bonnie's account. And therefore, the issue as to who got the money would be solved, because we know one thing is that a check is going to be reflected in somebody's account. Ms. Wright, yes, my lord, either coming in or going out. I agree with you. There is a record both ways. The president says yes. I do not have how you can conduct civil litigation without discovery and getting all of this information. Ms. Wright, I hear you and I agree with you, my lord. I don't know if the previous counsel thought he who was searched must prove. And if you said, if she said she paid, I don't know. But at the end of the day, her ladyship took Ms. Pyfrom's view that he accepted it, and Ms. Pryfram just conceded that that was not truth. He did not accept that he received the $36,000. So in other words, she's saying that the judge in the Supreme Court took the Ms. Pryfram's view that I said I accepted it, but now in the appeals court, the lawyer admitted that I never said I accepted it. So continue. But you know, my lord, I understand the general court's frustration with the manner in which this matter, in discovery, was conducted or was not conducted. I get it 100%. Ms. Pryfram, my lord, Mr. Bain made several allegations, which again, he didn't bother to back up by producing any documents. The evidence at the court, listen, the evidence of misrule on how the payment of $36,000 came to be Bain, and his evidence goes on and on about how banking ought to be, and who would accept the check and whether it would have cleared, etc., etc. We ask the witness, well, how was the payment of $36? I mean, you have an agreement where you said this was paid to Lincoln Bain, and Lincoln Bain signed. He is alleging that he did not sign. How was this paid? There was never any allegations, either by the plaintiff or the defendant, that the check was made payable to Bonnie. Mr. Bain said. So the president stopped her and said, no. The question is, in this case, you say the monies were paid to Mr. Bain. Ms. Pryfram said, yes. Michael Bonner continued, you say the check was in Roll's name. She endorsed it and gave it to Mr. Bain. Mr. Bain says, I ain't never got no check for $36,000. Ms. Wright says, correct. The president says, so there is a dispute as to fact. So you have to prove that you gave the check or you endorsed the check and you gave it to Mr. Bain. And I would have thought, certainly if I was representing the plaintiff, I would have asked Mr. Bain where he conducted his banking. He told me he was conducting his banking at ABC Bank, Royal Bank of Canada, Scotiabank, CIBC, and I would issue a subpoena to CIBC, Scotiabank, or RBC. In fact, I might issue a subpoena to all of them in case Mr. Bain did not tell me the right bank where he does his banking, so I can make sure that I will ask them to produce statements of accounts for the period of 1st June to X of the transactions on the account in the name of Mr. Bain, transactions in the accounts in the name of Bonnie. I would get that, and the issue as to who got the money would be solved. Ms. Pryfram, the woman's lawyer, said, my lord, with respect, Mr. Bain actually said that the $40,000 was received. There was no issue as to whether or not $5,000 was received. Mr. Bain is putting the issue of who received the $40,000. He put that in issue. Mr. President said, that is my point. That is my point. He said he did not get it. He said he did not receive it. And you say he got that on trust and that he was supposed to do something with it. He said he never got it. But you could prove whether or not he got it by looking in his bank account to see whether or not checks were deposited to his bank account. Ms. Pryfram, my lords, there are written agreements between the parties which Ms. Roll was able to recount. There are two agreements. There are two agreements. There are two agreements. Ms. Pryfram said, sorry, were there two agreements? Ms. Pryfram said, were there two agreements, my lord? One dated April 20th and merely repeats on April 23rd. And Justice Evans responded, and who were the parties to both agreements? The parties to April 23rd and 10th and whatever, Mr. Bain and Ms. Roll, no reference to Bonnie. So the parties were always the same in both agreements? Yes, my lord. Why were there two agreements? Because what happened, according to the evidence, and is actually that the transcript that is before the court, the first agreement, which I will take your lordships to, was about 10 lines. In light of the fact that a substantial amount of money involved, according to Ms. Roll's evidence, she took the agreement home to her husband and said that the agreement is too simple. When one looks at the amount involved, She then contacted a lawyer, Willie Moss. She went to Willie Moss and he drafted in more detail April and et cetera, et cetera. All right. So saying she went to Willie Moss, whatever. So the president says in his defense and in his case that he ran, was it not the case that he did not receive the $30,000? He had no obligation to account to you for $30,000 that he received. It is supposed to be given to him, and therefore your claim to him to account for this money that he received and was subpoenaed to, was supposed to invest in something cannot succeed. This is Michael Barnett, the president of the Court of Appeal, telling her that her whatever she is saying, your claim for him to account for this money that he received and was supposed to invest in something cannot succeed. That was his case. Ms. Pyfron, that was his case, my lord, but the president cut her off. He said, so what you need to do is to prove that he got the money. And she said, and we did. He said, how can you say that? The best, she said, the best way we could. My lord, again, we took a timeline of this, and I cannot explain why the monies were paid over on April 20th, and we produced a statement or printed from the Teachers Salary Credit Union, made out in the amount of $36,000. Mr. President said, but to who? Mr. President said that was made out to Miss Roll. Miss Bethel, Kelly de Bethel also answered the same time saying Zinnia Roll. So Ms. President said Miss Roll, so there was never any evidence that is what I am saying, that Bonnie received a check of $36,000. So the president said, nor is there any evidence that Miss Roll or Mr. Bain got it. And she said, that's you completely overlooking the document. He said, Mrs. Pyfron, Mr. Bain's defense, as I understand it, was I do not care what the agreement says. I didn't sign the agreement and I did not get the money, and therefore any claim against me to account for this money must fail. That is his defense. So I would have thought if I were representing the plaintiffs, I would go to prove that he actually got the money. And the way I would prove that he got the money is to get his bank accounts to see whether or not the check was deposited into his bank account. And if the check wasn't deposited in his bank account, whether or not he deposited it into Barney's account. Because one of the things you have to show is not only that you had the check made payable to you from the Teachers Credit Union, you have to show that the check was deposited or given to Mr. Bain and deposited into either his account or Barney's account, showing that he actually got the money. All right, and so she said the transaction was something that occurred in 2010, and we were having the trial in 2017. And he said, when did you bring the action? She said, from 2015, 5 years after. And so in terms of what evidence was available, the plaintiff can only give the best evidence. Evans cut in and he said, and banks are required to keep documents for 7 years, aren't they? She said, yes, my lord. But again, according to the plaintiff's evidence, she had written documents showing Mr. Bain acknowledged receiving the money. Yes, but you know that he was denying it. But the point we are making is that this is Evans talking. The point we're making was denying it. You need to prove. She goes to her bank and says that, listen, there was a check that was made out to me that was endorsed or deposited to Mr. Bain's account. Deposited to somebody's account. Can you retrace it? She did not do that, is what Justice Evans said. She says that's her job. She said, and the lawyer responded, clearly on the evidence, she did not do it. But again, my lords, when asked about the check, the plaintiff was able to say exactly the circumstances what would arise to this check, how the check was cleared, and Mr. Bain, when he acknowledged that he received the 3,600 and some odd dollars, that would have been, and he deposited that $40,000 had been received. It was only ever paid. The $3,000 was paid to Mr. Bain. The $36,000 was endorsed and it was given to Mr. Bain. All he is denying is who accepted the money and who or whatever. So Michael Bonnet said, is that not a critical issue in this case as to whether or not the monies were received by him? And therefore he is under an obligation to account for it. And his defense is, I did not get the money, and therefore I am not obligated to account for it. Account also means to pay back, right? Yes, my lord, but and he cut her off. So you have to be able to show that he actually got the money and the circumstances under which he got it. You produce the document, the agreement, which he says, I didn't sign it, and that's not my signature. And then he says, I didn't get the $36,000. So I suspect the money went to Bonnie, but he does not. He's cute. He does not say that it went to Bonnie. He does not admit that it went to Bonnie, but you do not produce any document to show that it went to him or to Bonnie. Because if you can show, I thought if you were able to produce evidence that it was deposited to Bonnie's bank account, and Mr. Bain is the majority shareholder of Bonnie and the sole director, or one of two directors, the other one being his wife or somebody else who works for him, I do not think it is difficult for a judge to draw a conclusion that he got the money, right? And she goes on, and the judges go on and continue with this back and forth without telling her that, listen, right here, it looks like Michael Bonner got tired of her running on with the same thing, and he said, listen, how much longer are you going to be Miss Python? And she said, my lords, like I said, we rely on the submissions. I have to touch on another point or whatever. He said, yes, please. All right. And so I read this because, they've been over several months. They've been running on, even going to the fact of calling me a criminal. They were calling me, saying that I was accused of thieving and this kind of stuff. And I wanted persons to actually see this. All right. So, I wanted this to be able to read the actual facts and put this out there. All right, go read it for yourself. And so I was shocked when those same judges who said those things, all right, and you come to your own conclusion. I'm not telling you what conclusion to come to. You come to your own conclusion after reading that. And so those judges came back and said, well, we're not going to interfere with the judgment of the first court. Basically, go take it to another place, take it to the Privy Council. And so I was shocked because we weren't even looking at this after we heard their words that, listen, you have not proven that he got the money. You've not proven anything. The way she says she gave him the money with a check written out to her that she gave to him is impossible. And so we weren't even looking at that. But I'll leave that right there. And so they can run on with that as much as possible. And the reason I read that transcript is because I'm going to go back to each one of those persons who have called me a criminal or called me a thief or any of those things. And I'm going to file actual criminal complaints. And I'm now going to be filing lawsuits against them. We let them go on and on with this because they started to get comfortable. And so now that they're comfortable, we're going to make criminal complaints against certain of those persons. And we're going to make file lawsuits against those persons. So hopefully Brave will pay the bill for those trolls that they encourage to go there and say these lies. All right. If there was something on me, let me tell you something. Government would have had that on me long time. They locked me up for fake stuff, for unreal stuff. If they had something on me, I would have been gone. All right. All these lies and stuff that they spread, these innuendos that they put out there. That is a bunch of nonsense. That right there is a court transcript. All right. So we're gonna deal with them, and hopefully, the PLP will pay their bills. But we're gonna be racking up lawsuits up until the election. Every time the police touch us, we get sued. Every troll would open their mouth against us, we get sued. And so we got the time to do it. We got the war chest ready, and so we're gonna deal with them. All right. And so we're also going to be filing complaints. Now, we know this government is in power and they're crooked and corrupt, so they might not do anything with it, but we're going to file a complaint and let you know when we file a complaint. All right. So I think David Major called me a criminal the other day. I've never been charged with an offense. I was on the police force for 10 years. I've never been, and me and the police commissioner just had this discussion. I probably was the only police officer ever on the force that never been put on a charge, a disciplinary charge. Right? If you're not a police, you might know what that is. But if you're disrespectful, rude, late, dirty, whatever, they can have you on a disciplinary charge, so that they can take some money from you or punish you in some kind of way. It's a discipline force. I've never been put on a charge. I've been driving a vehicle, and I don't think they can find any ticket. I've never been convicted of a traffic offense in this country. Never. I've been doing business. They can't show you no scandal with all the businesses I've done. I voluntarily retired at a certain age. Volunteer. They can't show you anything that I have done wrong in business. Okay? They make these lies up about church and say, oh, he took over a church, which is an absolute lie. And I have been ignoring these people, and I'm going to continue to. But when they defame us moving forward, we are going to use their same laws against them, because they have been doing it to attack Bahamians. So we're going to use the laws against them. It's an absolute lie. I used to visit potential church. They were closing down, and persons there wanted to continue, and they want to continue with a new church called Purpose Church, and they asked me to be pastor, and that's it. And so all that stuff with potential church, that had nothing to do with me. Nothing. All right. And so, of course, they want to mix me up because I'm an activist, and they have to try find something. But all I can tell you, Bahamas, is that if all this time they ain't find nothing yet, 20 years of fighting them, I just started this, 20 years of fighting against the powerful in this country, the corrupt, and the governments in this country for the small man. And they can find nothing yet. All right. So we will wait for them. All right. That's not to say that I'm perfect. I'm not. I'm not to say that I won't make any mistakes. I've never made any mistakes. I have made mistakes in my life. But the stuff that they're putting out there is absolute lies. So he did this and he did that, and he's a crook. Why crook? You ask them, okay, what he did, and they can't give you no details. I don't have time for this nonsense. All right. Somebody who's the pastor of Potential Church. The pastor of Potential Church was Eric Wallace. At the time, and he didn't want to continue yet at the time, and so we formed Potential Church with the pastor of Potential Church. Potential Church was a church in the States, another branch in the Bahamas. The problem with that church is you have to watch the pastor on the screen. So you come to church to watch church on TV is what it was, and that doesn't go with our culture. And so it was dying out here, and the church in the States decided they were shutting it down, and persons decided they wanted to continue. And so we continued, we moved out of the building, we continued. First, they were offering us to stay there, but eventually we decided to move on. So we have a clean, fresh start, and we moved on, all right? And so, somebody just fixed the camera. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Okay. So sorry about the camera situation. I had to switch to my computer's camera because something went crazy there. All right. So someone says Ozzy's an investigator. Yeah. Ozzy. Okay. I don't have time for that. But Ozzy was a police officer who worked in the police band. All right, and he left the force eventually at some point. All right. I don't have time to get back and forth with these people. We have work to do. All right. And so I don't think Brave is perfect. I don't think Pintard is perfect. I don't think Minister is perfect. But we have work to do. And I am willing to stand up and fight for the Bahamian people. I come in the spirit of David, an unperfect man. And I said that I will fight for the people. I will defend this land for the people. And that is what I will do. I come in the spirit of Paul, who was not a perfect man, but who was willing to stand up there, fight, be sacrificed, be stoned to death, or whatever it took in order to get this done. I am willing to stand up and fight. And so for anyone in our WhatsApp groups, you all share that transcript. Let them read that. All right. And so we have a very curious legal system in this country. That's all I could say about that. But again, that's why we still have the Privy Council in order to make sure that things go the way they're supposed to go. All right. So, so that's what it is. So, all right. So I can open the phone lines one more time. How much time we have? Oh my God, we're out of time. I just wanted you to see that. I didn't want to take too much time on that, but I wanted to read that as entirety. And you can pass that and share that around because they're spreading this lie that I owe this woman money. How could I owe someone money who never gave me money? All right. And that's all I have to say. Never gave me money. What happened was she invested in the company. The company burned down. What they always do is they go after me because I'm the one with money. And so they know they couldn't sue the company. So they tried to sue me personally and they tried to make up some stuff in order to do it. All right. And so the fact of the matter is, if you say you got a check from the Teachers Credit Union, it was written out to you in your name, and you gave that to me for me to cash. That's one, that's impossible. But two, then you just need to go and prove, bring the check, which you said that you would do, bring the check, and the check would have my signature on the back of it. Two, because I got to sign that. And if my signature on the back of that, case closed. But they would not bring the check because they know they ain't give me no check. Get it? And so they're saying, oh, you go pay that woman, you owe that woman. It's absolute nonsense. All right. And so as simple as that. We don't like it too bad. Let's not get distracted from saving our country. And we're not going to get distracted because we still got to benefit from our natural resources. And you will notice that the government is not talking about that. The government is hiding from that. They're not talking about the carbon credits. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're headed to Miami. We're also headed to Switzerland. Yes, we are. And we are going to file complaints at the United Nations against our government. What they are doing has to stop. And that's it. All right. So if you have any more questions for me, I am here. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be live again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. And hopefully we could have some updates for you as to the Miami trip and what's going on. And then we can go from there. Now, again, with that particular case, I'm looking forward to seeing the Privy Council say, look at it and look at our court system and say, what kind of, thing is this? Because if it makes sense to any of y'all, please tell me. And I want to do that here because I still see over the whole system about 1,647 people on here, right? I want to ask you, after reading that transcript, hearing what the judges had to say in the actual appeal court case, do you think that I should pay that person? Just tell me. Do you think that I am guilty of something, I should say, or that I should pay? You answer. Just tell me. Am I guilty based on what you heard those persons say? I know it'll take about 30 seconds you to start saying. Do you think that I'm guilty of something after seeing what the judges had to say and seeing the lawyer herself admit that she was wrong on some things there? Do you think I am guilty? So if I do wrong, I see people saying, no, you're not. Is that a nonsense? Thank you. Nope. And so that's all the PLP has. So it would really disappoint them to see you all saying no and say that I'm not guilty. So that's what the Privy Council is for. And that's what they said to me. Just take it to another place. This country you're in. All right. Anne Green says, you are guilty. So I don't know if she means guilty or not guilty, but one person says I am guilty, everyone else says not guilty. All right. Um, uh, so everyone is saying no and not guilty, etc., etc. Um, everyone is saying that, and so, well, that's it. So let me see. Someone says something about the check. It looks like an interesting point. Let me see if I could find it before it goes away. Oh Lord, it's so far behind. Let me see if I can find that. They said if the oh, here it is. They said if the check did not have your signature on it and you use it to pay a bill, that info would have been written on the back of the check, and that info could lead back to you. Management would have had to sign the check, and trust me, all the I can't see the rest of it. Trust me, all the let me see the rest of it. Man would have signed a check, and trust me, all the correct info had to be on that check. Exactly. All right. And so when they initially sued, their statement of claims said that they would produce that check. But of course, when court time came, they never produced that check. They run from it. All right. I think that's because, that check would have proven that she never gave me no check. All right. And that's what it would have meant. All right. So I'm not perfect. They tell a lot of lies on me, and I don't really respond to them. I can't be responding to these stuff over and over. They tell a lot of lies on me. But anytime it's time for them to really put up evidence or put up proof of anything, they get shamed. They go away. They just think that if they keep throwing dirt enough, that that would be. I mean, it would have been smarter for her to say, "Listen, I gave him cash." Then you could have said, "Okay, if she gave him cash, then maybe he's just trying to wiggle his way out of it." But who gives $36,000 cash in this day and time? And so, and then I'm talking about the $60-something thousand, which is absolute rubbish. Again, as a part of the case, that's nonsense. It was about $40,000, and she said she gave a check for $36,000. The fact that they said it's a check written out to her, how do you get around that? The case can't even go further. All right. But they didn't have anything else to use against me politically. So that is what they did. All right. This goes a little deeper, but I'll save that for another time. All right. So someone says, "Sorry, they're trying to steal from me." Yeah, they're trying to rob me. All right. That's what this is really about. They're trying to rob me to get money out of me. All right. That's what's happening here. All right. So I'm not gonna get robbed. All right. And that's it. But I am always open to all of my people. And if you ask me any question, I'm gonna address it. I don't have anything to hide. Anything to hide. All right. And that's that. I hear some troll talking about my marriage, trying to imply that I did something wrong in my marriage. I never did anything in my marriage. I was not accused of doing anything wrong in my marriage. I filed for divorce. I don't even talk about that. People make mistakes. All of us make mistakes. I don't talk about that. But I am married to the Bahamian people, and I am focused. One person said, "Oh, you can't be prime minister unless you're married. You can't lead. You can't be leader unless you're married." I said, "Listen, you mean like Nelson Mandela, who was divorced when he became president of South Africa? You mean I must be married like what? Paul, Apostle Paul, Jesus? Moses sent his wife back home. He wasn't married. So where do you get this thing from? That you have to be married in order to be prime minister? It would be nice. It shows that you're a family man, all right. But some of the greatest men in the world were not, and that's a fact. And so whatever this narrative is, I may be married by the time as election comes, but I may not. I have to date and do this thing right. All right. So I'm focused on fighting for the Bahamian people and turning over this country to the Bahamian people, to empowering us, making all of us the kings and queens that we need to be. That is what my focus is, and that is what I am going to do. All right. So I bet you if you read the transcripts from brave cases that he had, you wouldn't come to the same conclusion. All right. But I just wanted to be open and honest with all of you, and that's the transcript. That's what the learned judges had to say, and that's it. So when them trolls come running on, you now have what you need, and so put them in the WhatsApp group, spread them, and let them, because they ain't talking about that. All right. So put it out there, and then we do what we have to do. All right. And if the Privy Council says I have to pay, then I have to pay. That's the law. And if they don't, then whatever. Either way, we're moving forward to the new Bahamas. Let's not get distracted with the small stuff. I wanted to get that out of the way today while all of you were on here. And so that is that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. There's always so much more to say, but we're going to be live again in short order on Tuesday. Remember, we're heading to Miami. Save your money for your ticket. If you're not vaccinated, you can still go. We'll show you how you can go. But make sure that you're a part of this. The Bahamians in America are going to start putting some stuff out there. They're just waiting to finalize, to get everything paperwork finalized. And then we're going to move forward with this. And we're going to let the world know that we've had enough. And we're going to keep fighting. Join the branch today. Become involved. Fund us. It takes money to get this done. You can go to GoFundMe, or you can go to our website. On that front page, you'll find a GoFundMe there link, or you can deal directly here by paying with credit card here, or you can go to our office, which is open every day from 11 to 5. All right, every single day, not every day, every weekday from 11 to 5, and sometimes they're there on the weekend also. We will be hitting the streets. We're starting a campaign from now. If you want to be a part of that, join us, and you'll be able to walk with us and do what we have to do. We understand, you know, and I just want to say this. Someone told me, oh, you got to get big numbers. You got to get at least 5,000 people out there to make any change. Someone sent me a picture of We March, you know, because they had a march on a holiday when more people could come out. And they showed the picture of We March and showed that there was a lot of people there. There were a lot of people at We March. And I asked that person, what did We March accomplish? Tell me one thing that We March accomplished or changed. Tell me. It isn't just about the numbers. Numbers is good, because if you have that kind of numbers, you can call for the government to step down. But numbers is good. But what change have we done? Have you been watching us since before the election and watching how we had the government changing all of their policies? We had the prime minister saying, okay, I'm going to give you a sovereign wealth fund, but I'm going to take $2 billion from it. Did you see how we had the government skipping from before election? That's the F&M. You see how we have the government skipping and tipping toes now. Did you see that we got them to do a Ministry of Natural Resources? Did you see that? Now, we're not the first to suggest that, but they did it to try to appease the people because of what we're doing. It's our actions. It's more than just the numbers of there. There's certain things we're doing strategically, and I want you to see it. We're doing certain things strategically that is powerful. We are the 21st century Bahamian, and we know how to fight you with your own rules and your own laws. And so that's why we put certain things so that they have to do certain things. You can see when we started spanking them with this immigration stuff, don't know them ain't giving us the credit. I see them giving credit to Keith Bell now. Almost 2 years, and they didn't do nothing until we went to the Prime Minister's office, put it in writing and say, you must do this. And you see they started to do some of the things on there. That's results. All right? There have been many marches with huge numbers, although we had very good numbers that didn't get results. We are about results. That's what we're about. And so that's what we are going to continue in this country. Now they're talking, and now they're in Abaco doing things because of what we did. They're now talking about doing demolitions because of what we did. We put it right in. You will go to court and you will file this subpoena. We demand it. You see? We are getting results. I can't make you understand everything we're doing every time, but we're getting results. All right? And so just continue to fight. We thank you for being with us. I'm proud to be a part of this movement. I'm proud to be a vessel for the Bahamian people. We're going to continue with what we're doing. They're going to continue to try to find some dirt on me, spy on me, put things around. It doesn't matter. Stop listening to rumors. And please don't share anything from a troll. And if someone sends you something from a PLP troll, if you want to be polite, just say PLP troll. Don't share that. Just tell them that. That's a PLP troll. Don't share that. You know? Because I don't understand why they keep sharing these stuff. But let's stay focused and remember that change ain't coming. Change is here. We're going to transform this country for all Bahamians. It's time for all of us to wake up. You're losing your jobs. Your young men are losing their jobs. They can't find jobs now. We're being kicked off our own land. The government is assisting them. They're landing and flooding our country, and the government is assisting them. I prefer a country where we benefit, and we're number one, and it's all about us. I prefer the new Bahamas. Are you ready? Thank you for tuning in.
This may be the best citizenship in the world, and they all have it. Because of this card, they get free land, free education, free weddings, free hospitals, and even a free funeral. It's the citizenship of a country in the Middle East called the United Arab Emirates. This is what life is like for citizens from the Emirate of Dubai. And because the city is so generous, they get the craziest benefits I have ever seen. Are you ready for this? When you are born, your parents pay nothing. Your delivery and checkups for the next 9 months are all free. Then you grow up and you go to school. Local school in Dubai is free! And so are universities, because Dubai will pay for you to get a degree.
I studied at Zayed University and New York University, both for free.
Who's gonna pay for that?
The government.
Then you get married. If you can't afford the wedding, you get $20,000 to throw a wedding. And after marriage, every local Dubai family gets this: free land. Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Yes.
Did you get free land?
Sure, yes.
And if you cannot afford the home, then you get a grant to build it for free.
I also can't afford building a house. I can get a 0-interest loan on housing.
Zero?
Zero.
If you need to go to the hospitals are free. And if you need surgery that's not available here, they will fly you to another country to get treatment for free. When you become a senior citizen, you get discounts, many discounts. And if you live alone and can't afford it, Dubai will even send a caretaker to look after you for free. And when you die, well, in Dubai, that's also free. Your funeral will be taken care of, and Dubai will build a full tent with air conditioning within 5 hours of your death next to your home, so your friends can come and say goodbye to you. The point of government is to take care of people, and in Dubai, they take it to the extreme. Imagine if every city, every state, every government in the world did this. We would have a much happier world.